This election has exacerbated my PTSD. Like, they set up the fireworks factory Millhouse never got to go to outside my apartment. But I still want to use my platform to urge you to vote, and specifically for Kamala Harris. I don't have enough funny or clever to really do this justice, so I'm just going to list off all of the things I remember about Donald Trump and why he shouldn't be the president, and then, if you're still here, why she should be the president. January 6th should be a disqualifying event, just right off the top of the bat. It is the only election in American history that did not have a peaceful transfer of power. For me personally, his handling of Afghanistan and personally making a deal with the Taliban, going around the Afghan government that we spent 20 years protecting, and letting out 5,000 Taliban prisoners so that they could go back to doing some terrorism. And the fact that he did all this after he lost the election and against all the admirals and generals' recommendations, specifically so he could blame Joe Biden for the fallout when he tried to run the next time. And he's absolutely done that. He's tried to pin Harris with the Afghanistan withdrawal. He's lied about being a non-war president, even though he dropped more bombs on certain countries in his first 2 years than Obama did in 8. Even though he abandoned our Kurdish allies. And when the war that's been raging overseas started under his tenure and U.S. troops were hurt, he called it some headaches because he wanted to pin the blame on Biden. Not only did he capitulate to terrorists, but he's buddy-buddies with dictators and has said that he will not only let Netanyahu finish the job, but that he's going to finish the Ukraine war by giving all the land that Russia took to Russia so that they can restock and resupply and then go take more land. He called my dead friends losers and suckers. He's insulted POWs. He's insulted Gold Star families. He's insulted Medal of Honor winners and Purple Heart recipients. He's had to go to trial for his racist housing practices and for sexually assaulting a woman and lying about it. He's a convicted felon. He wants to put RFK, the anti-vax lunatic who left a bear carcass in Central Park, in charge of United States medicine. And RFK has already said his first decree will be getting rid of fluoride in the water. He wants to let Elon Musk, the apartheid billionaire who's been having secret conversations with our adversaries, to cut the budget of the United States government by $2 trillion. Elon Musk has said this will crash the economy, but he's going to do it because he wants more money. Because he has to pay off all the loans he took out. Buying a social media website he immediately rendered useless to advertisers by allowing it to become a white supremacy jamboree. Most recently, he said he wants to put Herschel Walker in charge of a United States missile dome defense system. His own chief of staff has called him a fascist and talked about how he wanted to shoot protesters in the knees and nuke a hurricane. There was that one time where he tear-gassed a bunch of protesters so he could go hold a Bible up in front of a church. He has said multiple times he wants to have a night of long knives, where he allows the police to just beat people up because it'll stop crime, and that he's going to be a dictator on day one, which he's been repeating at his rallies after lamenting that he never should have left the White House in between his breaks to fantasize about a rifle-firing squad near Liz Cheney or the press. The press that he has promised to revoke the licenses of if they have anything critical to say about him whatsoever. During a pandemic, he refused to wear a mask, causing an insane conspiracy that masks don't work because he was too vain to put it on his orange-stained face. He also sent critical infrastructure that we needed, COVID testing, to our adversaries, as well as creating a system where whoever kissed his ass enough got more infrastructure for their state. This is after he dismantled the pandemic task force that Obama had set up, as well as throw out the plan that Obama had set up for this exact eventuality. And then he mused on live television about whether we could inject bleach or maybe put bright lights in our bodies to cure it. Remember that time he stared directly into the sun during an eclipse? It's not as bad as the other stuff, but it's still fucking dumb. He wished he had Hitler's generals. He tried to have a military parade through Washington, but was told that the streets couldn't handle the tanks. And then he didn't want to do it because the rah-rah military parade wouldn't be as dictatorish without a bunch of tanks. When he wasn't asking if he could nuke hurricanes, he was holding up a projection of where it would be that he drew in with his own Sharpie because he was mad he got corrected about the state it was going to hit. There was that time that he bought McDonald's for the Super Bowl winners. That was just tacky. He installed 3 Supreme Court justices and stopped an FBI investigation into one of them for the sexual misconduct he had at college so that they could overturn Roe v. Wade and cause a string of deaths across the country, rolling back decades of established precedent. And then that same Supreme Court gave presidents unilateral power. He took home a bunch of top secret documents he wasn't supposed to have, including shit on our nukes, and left them in an unlocked bathroom in his Florida golf course. He called a state on the phone, of which we have a recording of him asking them to find him the exact number of votes he lost that state by. And then he spent the last 4 years lying that he lost the election, that he opened over 60 court cases trying to prove, and not a single one of them found any indication of the stolen election he still screams about, and sometimes forgets and says on stage that he actually lost, except for the handful of states that found that actually Republicans were doing some voter fraud, including Elon Musk's mom, who keeps getting on the internet and telling people to vote more than once and insisting that she'll do it too, because what are they going to do to her? Rich people can't commit crimes. There was that time that he mocked that disabled reporter. There was that Hollywood Access tape where he said grab him by the... There's all the Epstein stuff that none of the podcast bros ever think to bring up to him, including recently a recording of Epstein saying how Trump is his very best friend. By contrast, there's Kamala Harris, who not only has experience at every level of the government, but whose tax plan has been endorsed by economists, especially as being beneficial to the middle class. She has a plan to get millennials into the housing that they can't afford. She has a plan to codify the abortion rights that Donald Trump destroyed. She's vowed to end the war in Gaza that Donald Trump has said he'll let Netanyahu finish. She has detailed plans for America that have nothing to do with her personal grievances. She's been endorsed by every living president except George Bush, who has remained quiet on the entire affair, as well as prominent Democrats and Republicans across the spectrum. She will be a president that you are allowed to protest. She might even be a president that changes her mind when presented with different ideas, because she's not a malignant narcissist trying to keep herself out of prison. You should vote for her, because voting for her ensures that you'll get a chance to vote again. If you vote for Trump, or the Russian spoiler candidate that Green parties around the world have urged to step down, who has chosen a transphobe as their running mate, or you choose not to vote at all, or write in Mickey Mouse, you are essentially voting against democracy and the option to vote ever again in the future. Don't take my word for it. Go watch the video of Donald Trump saying, if you vote for me this time, you'll never have to vote again. Listen to all the members of his cabinet who call him a fascist. Listen to all the military generals breaking their unspoken rule about politics to say, don't vote for that guy. He's an enemy to democracy. Because again, January 6th, vote for democracy. Vote for an America that tries and fails to live up to her ideals. Not an America that revels in violence and hatred. Vote for the woman who worked her way up from McDonald's to Vice President of the United States. Not for the billionaire who's less rich now than the guy he would be if he had just taken his daddy's money and put it in an investment portfolio. Don't allow that monster a second chance to destroy America, because there won't be guardrails in place this time. America has the largest military apparatus on the planet. Do not allow it to fall into the hands of a guy who said he'll use it against his political opponents. Vote for Kamala Harris. Vote for democracy.